Hey, how you doing? Ed Fields here along with Erica Wells-Cox and Kendrick Williams. Kendrick is back. Kendrick has got some plaid on. You have that, you got that shirt on like your boy is wearing that Modern, what's the name, Modern Family? Cam, with the two-tone, you have the tone on the cuff.
It's very stylish.
It's stylish.
I think.
Yeah, I'm not.
I think that's what Ed is trying to say.
It's
It's a very nice shirt.
Yeah, no problem. It's a compliment. I actually had a shirt like that many, many years ago, and people, thought it was, what's wrong with you? But they, it's way ahead of time.
You were ahead of your time.
What's going on? What's going on is Houston.
Well, yeah.
Just to do a little teasing, the timing of Bahamas Air introduction in the Houston market, they can't even land. I saw some photos of the planes. Did you see that?
I did not see the plane.
All you can see is the tail.
But I saw. I mean, it was just incredible, in a bad way.
Well, Houston,
obviously.
in a bad. I don't mean that in a bad way. Houston is apparently either below sea level or sinking. Did you know that?
Did not know that.
Check it out. It's sinking. I'm going to put Houston sinking in here and see if it comes up.
I couldn't believe the level of the waters, and they said that there's been a little reprieve, but in the next 24 hours they expect more.
Yeah, they can get slammed. Let's see here. I'm going to go on the internet.
Did you see the photo at the nursing home?
No.
There was a photo with residents of the nursing home. They were waist high in water, waiting to be rescued.
See, hold on a second. Well, let me ask you. So what am I looking? Houston sinking, right? Houston they didn't think it was going to happen there.
I mean, I don't know if that was the case.
But I mean.
But I know there's been this debate about they should have evacuated.
Yeah, because all those other towns.
Right, but they were saying it would have been.
Was it coming that way?
Right, well, no, not that it wasn't coming that way, but it just would not have been efficient to do so.
You guess you can't evacuate millions and millions of people,
right.
But you can get people out of nursing homes.
Right, you would have thought hospitals, nursing homes.
Yeah. Houston is sinking and has been for decades. By the way, this story is May 31st. May 31st. Okay? As torrential rains have pounded the city in consecutive years, leading to repeated heavy and deadly flooding, this inconvenient fact contributes to the region's misery. Parts of the Harris County have dropped between 10 and 12 feet.
Wow.
Since 1920. They don't need to evacuate. They need to move.
Yeah, they need to relocate.
State and local officials, this is 2016, Ken. State and local officials have made various efforts over the past 40 years to stabilize the ground, but some areas continue to sink by as much as 2 inches per year. Yeah.
But a lot of Katrina, a lot of New Orleans residents, when they evacuated, they went to Houston.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was
and now
dry,
they're having to relive that all over again. I mean, that's unbelievable.
Kind of like have to if you move from, if they have done that, I would hope that the next house has a helipad on it.
Right.
Okay.
You can only get there. If you mountain climb.
if you've been in the 9th ward, you know what I mean, Ken? And then you move to Houston. I'm laughing. And you move to Houston, and you get the same thing where you find yourself on a roof again waving. You know what I mean? You gotta build your roof with an escape hatch and a flat level helipad for them to land. Because I ain't got up on no rope.
What did you think about Trump's constant tweets?
I didn't. I finished with Trump now.
You finished?
Yeah. I mean,
like you're finished with reading?
No, what's that?
Like you're finished with reading.
Well, I finished with reading a long time. But Trump is approaching. I had lunch with someone today who I think might have been a Trump kind of follower. But I mean, back before the election.
Oh, okay.
But now he's a lunatic.
Okay.
He says he's crazy.
Yeah. But 80% of Republicans still think he's great.
If I didn't know better, I would have think that Trump is one of these people who had syphilis before they had penicillin. You know what I mean?
Well,
you know where it affects your mind?
Yes, they are seriously questioning his mental fitness. I mean,
that's the kind of people, because you can't see. Listen, Ken. It's not. I mean, what I'm trying to say is, you see, we operate like, okay, the color of this thing is blue, of this desk is blue. Okay? This is the only match. Okay, all right. Now, if someone comes in here and goes, no, this is purple or red, we're going to be confused. We're going to think, is it maybe it isn't.
You start.
Because, yeah.
And you're a perfect, you can see.
Yeah,
you're a rational person.
But he's serious, he is, fervent.
And then you begin to question yourself.
You question yourself.
You go, well, maybe it is red.
You maybe because he's there and people are chanting with him.
Right.
So you go, something's wrong with us because. So he's the kind of guy who, first of all, I've analyzed him. He grew up. He was a bully. He grew up. Right. He had everything he wanted. He never had to want anything. He always had his own way.
And he had daddy issues.
He never ran. No, no one ever was his boss except his father, maybe. So he's just a spoiled brat that needs to be slapped across his head.
He kind of never grew up.
When he grew up, someone needed to trip him.
He needs to get it together.
Like when he's running, just trip him, put your foot out. But so I think that he's lost his mind. They should check him for the pre-penicillin syphilis type thing. But this is what kills me about him. He will come on TV and say, many sides, were at fault, many sides. Not fully understanding that he's on video, that they're videoing him.
Or that he's tweeting.
That he's being recorded.
Right.
And then he'll go to the next day and say, well, this is what I said. And he will leave that out as if we didn't notice that.
But Ed, the scary thing is he does that so often.
Yeah,
and then something else happens and that gets dropped.
Yeah.
So that kind of goes down as, well, maybe that did happen. Or maybe he didn't say that.
It's just one continual lie after the next. And the only reason why he knows. Let me tell you something. This is what it boils down to. I'm going to give you the analysis now. He is involved in money laundering. Okay? He's involved in money laundering. He was involved with money laundering with the Russians. I don't need to, this isn't a mystery now.
Right.
He sold properties to the Russian guys, the rich guys who they were, overvalued.
Right, for over, triple what they were worth.
He's involved in money laundering. Mm-hmm. They may also have some freaky sex stuff going on with him because, so they might have that going on with this dossier. Trump is into the Russians like someone would be into the mob. Okay? Mm-hmm. And when you're into the mob, you can't come out and say, I don't like the mob. The mob, they're bumps.
Right, you can't get out.
You can't do that. The mob has you. This is why when they did the sanction, it was like 800 to 2 and Trump.
Right.
Okay? I'm opposed to this. Okay? All right. Why? Because you have to say that. Otherwise, they'll do something like kill relatives and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Okay? I don't even want Russians to know I exist.
Right.
I'm afraid now someone might record this, and it's okay? Right. Because I think they don't have a soul. They don't play.
Right.
Okay? And Trump is into them for some money laundering and some other criminal stuff, because otherwise, why wouldn't he just let them see?
Right. I mean, this is the question. He's not behaving like someone who's innocent.
If someone said, Ed, you're running, because I don't think he expected to win, but Ed, listen, you're running for Thingham, and we found out that you steal connects, and we'd like to see the evidence on the connects. And I'm not talking to the guy now. I'm talking like him. We notice all the connects are gone. You're the only person around the connects.
The connect tree is in your yard.
The connect tree is in your yard or next to your yard, but all the connects are gone. We believe it's you. Can you show us the TV recordings that you have in your house, the DVRs, that's aimed at the connect tree? Can you show us that? No. Every other president has showed us the connect tree. Okay? But you have not shown us the connect tree. Yeah. Why is that?
And it's simple.
Just show me the connect tree, it all goes away.
Yep.
But he knows he's stealing from the connect tree.
Do you think that these investigations are going to lead to anything?
Yeah. Let me tell you, see, this is the sad part. The Republicans are going to impeach him. Trust me. See, there's got to be a line. He's getting closer to this line now, like with the pardon and everything. He's going to get to a line. And the reason why they can impeach him is because they have their man.
Right.
They got Pence. And he's scarier.
Yeah, that's a whole other...
You see?
That's a whole other
they have Pence.
Kettle of fish.
Puny Pence. They have Pence.
And he's awfully quiet.
Yeah.
I think he's in the background.
Although they might drag his butt into something, because I believe Trump will drag him down, too. See, that's the other thing. I'm glad Trump said, don't know me, because he's dragging everyone down. He's like one of them kind of guys.
And he will throw anyone under the bus.
Anyone. Ivanka, you got to go. No, she's gone.
You think so?
Oh, yeah. He's look at what he did to his wives.
Well,
he doesn't care.
Wives are different from children.
He's a nutcase, man. Yes. Anyone, first of all, let me explain something to you. What is the one common thing that, what do you name your boy in North Korea?
Oh, Kim.
Mm-hmm. Kim Jong-il.
Right. Which
I would have changed that name right off the top. It can't be named Il. But what is the one thing that Trump and he have in common?
Besides the weird hair?
Wacky hairstyles. Okay? There is no one on the planet with a hairstyle like Trump.
No.
It's going in 5 different directions. Okay? So, and Kim, well, he's in another world altogether.
Yeah, that's another.
These are 2 guys with nuclear weapons talking to each other without listening to anyone else.
Yep.
You will see no fury. Like, come on.
I know, it's like a video game.
I just, the U.S. is finally, if you look at all of the leaders in the world, on the planet, it is very easy to have a wacko in power. It is the most easiest thing to get wackos in power, because to do what it takes to get to power, you got to go through a lot of cesspool action. And so a lot of people who even start off wanting that type of power a little, because they have desires.
But we haven't seen anything on this level before. I mean,
well, that's what I'm saying.
I haven't.
So the U.S. was kind of like their systems kind of like, provided.
Protected, they're protected against the wackos.
But something slip on.
So much.
Yeah, because you know why? You have a lot of other wackos. You have wackos voting for wackos.
Yeah,
we call them the WVWs.
I mean, how do you think Hillary Clinton must feel?
Crappy.
I mean, to have been defeated by...
Well, there
Donald
should
Trump.
Be some degree of...
Reflection.
Well, first of all, she won the popular vote.
Yes.
So she could feel some degree of comfort that, the majority of people wanted her.
Right.
But the wackos in the wacko-dominated states...
And they're all coming out.
Because let's face it, I mean, just the South alone. I mean, people, listen. This whole thing about the South. So, Charlottesville, right?
Mm-hmm.
What is this illuminated to us? Well, I went to school in both Minnesota and Georgia. These are the 2 extremes.
Right.
This is as north as you can get, and Georgia's fairly south, if you don't count Florida, which is really Georgia, except they added on that panhandle so that Florida wouldn't look like a penis. So Georgia is still running around, and other southern states. The South's going to do it again. Do what? What are you going to do again? This is the only place, the only country, let's say the South is a country, that was defeated in a war that still gets to pretend like they're a country.
Right.
They've got the Robert E. Lee and the flag. No. Right. If the Bahamas gets conquered by Haiti, we go with the Haitian flag. You cannot...
It's done.
But they're flying around the flag.
But now they feel empowered with Trump.
Right. But here's the problem. And this is why it's going to get ugly. First of all, I remember going to school in Georgia and telling my friends, white friends, it's like, don't you get why I'm offended by this flag? And they go, no, it's not a big deal. It's just like, it's our history. No. See, the history is not good for me.
Yeah. They don't, you don't get it. In Germany, they don't fly the Nazi flag.
See, but that's to show you the level of kind of dehumanization of slaves, right? Because it's not even, you don't even get it.
Right.
That I'm freaking out because First of all, you say it's going to do it again, but I want to know what section y'all are doing again.
Right.
Because if you're doing the slavery thing,
please let me know.
I need to talk to HR.
Oh.
Okay? That's what I saw in South Park. The guy, or one of those like Arnold or whatever, the guy said, this slavery thing. Listen, the slave would say, listen, can you take me to HR? I got a couple of complaints. We'll be right back.
Oh, yeah, now you're on the air. Yeah. There you go.
Is this on?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Guess
Let me say something to you, sir. Okay? Let me help you out before we into the introduction.
Oh, that's better.
That wasn't even on, first of all.
Oh,
See,
you pick it up from Candy's mic then.
Yeah. Well, it's something.
I can actually hear you this time around.
But here's the situation.
Girl. How you doing?
On my phone. Let's go. Hold on. Before we go we go technical. Mr. Producer, Mr. whatever it is you do thing. There's a thing. It's called in the old days. It's called a pot. You know, it had the thing, the button. When you hear that dun 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 dun, that is go down. So if Rogan is casing me or by casing the world don't hear that. That's just a little instruction.
But I don't curse, so that's a good thing.
That's a lie. Let's not get into lies.
So
that's an instructional.
Osprey, you agreed with her?
That wasn't me.
See, pot down. Pot down.
I've learned not to say anything with Osprey on the board.
We just go like this, yes.
Just go quiet.
No, that's what we'll do. We'll go afterwards. You go before you say anything. Test, to see if you hear it in your phone. And that's why you got the headphones. You want to see.
I absolutely brought these because of Osprey.
Yeah. All right. Ed Fields here along with Rogan Smith and Candelaria Sumner will be joining us later. Conville Brown, Dr. Conville Brown is our guest. Doctor. We'll deal with, some doctor stuff.
I have to say a happy birthday to my good friend Chiquita Archer. Today's her birthday. Miss Leo. Such a sweet girl.
Let me ask you a question. I know this
do is it big, probably, Chiquita.
Do you all get like some free banana splits, things like that?
I know. She can't stand when you call her banana. When you call her Chiquita banana.
I didn't call her that.
You always do.
Well, I'm not calling her that now. I just asked
why you say banana splits then.
Well, I mean, I'm not calling her that. I just say because like.
But why that dessert of all desserts?
Because it rhymes with Chiquita. I don't know.
No, lies. You're a big liar.
And I know. So, but the thing is about Chiquita, birthday, when Chiquita. I see her, right? Even though she might be mad at me, I'm not going to know.
I finally saw a picture of her dad because I remember you said she can't help how she smiles.
Yeah.
Exact smile.
Yeah.
Exact smile.
And the cheeks. So I could be pissing her off and I wouldn't even know.
Yeah, she's just always happy.
That's the kind of people you got to worry about though, because they could be in the serial killing business. That's the serial killing Inc.
You ain't lying.
Yeah. Because they could go to the courts or to the for questioning. And they look say, you know what? They can't be guilty. They smile. They too happy.
Her resting face is a smile. Yeah. That's a good thing.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, she's a happy woman.
So, what's going on? Anything going on?
Total eclipse of the heart.
Completely and totally overrated.
Let me tell you something. I enjoyed this. You're talking about it being
dark?
I didn't see. Osprey said he saw it got a little darker, didn't you?
That was a cloud.
I thought you couldn't see it because of the clouds. I didn't notice anything. And I was following it. But I like the fact that it was a unifier. Like, for once, nobody was talking about politics and all that stuff. Everybody's talking about the eclipse. And so that was important. I like that.
Okay.
For once, I wasn't hearing, but no.
How long? How long? You realize you could go to Norway and you could have eclipse for 6 months.
That's good. Well, I should go to Norway.
Because it's dark for 6 months of the year. You know that, right?
Well, I know that in Alaska, I guess.
Same line.
It ain't 6 months. I just researched this last night. It wasn't 6 months. I was looking at Anchorage, Alaska.
Look up Norway.
You look it up.
No,
you want me to know, so you tell me.
I told you 6 months. You doubt me. You have to now believe makes 6 months and you prove it later. So
prove your case.
No, I ain't proving nothing.
Well, I ain't care with Norway. I ain't interested in going to Norway.
Norwich. Anyway, so what else is up?
I thought about you today.
Yeah, because you bring for slush for one again.
Oh,
that's
well, see, it's all melted.
I don't mind. Ain't you drinking it melted?
You want the rest of mine?
No, I don't want no chirp me thing, man.
Chirp me.
Well, just spittle and all that up.
You follow. I followed me the last time I gave you one.
Yeah. But I don't mind the melted version.
You're not going to enjoy that. You're not going to enjoy this.
Now she's telling me what I'm going to enjoy.
You're not going to enjoy that. I know you like your slushy.
Are you enjoying that?
That's because I'm thirsty.
Okay.
And you didn't bring me the water. Oh, you brought me the water.
Yes. See another.
Well, I'll give you the money. I'll give you the money for one. You could stop on your way home.
I don't want no money for nothing.
So what you complaining about? You just like these behemoths. You complaining around.
I just want the slush.
Well, take mine.
When you get I want a spittle-free slush. SBS.
Okay.
Jeez.
Take the slush, yeah.
So anyway, anything else going on that we want to entertain the Bahamian people with? Like I said, this eclipse thing. Someone called me.
This is the Super Bowl.
They said she had an event. I said, but I wasn't going to that. So I just feel like it's another day in the Bahamas.
I love it.
Yeah.
I wish we were in the path to see it. Like a full eclipse.
Well, you could have always just gone like some people and traveled from Australia to see it.
Well, I ain't on that level. I ain't trying to travel to see the eclipse. But
yeah. When's the next one?
I don't know.
I'll check it out then.
2020 something.
Yeah, I'll check that out then. We'll be seeing it from underwater. Because the Bahamas. That'll be something to see.
No. I was interested in this one this time around. So I remember for some reason they said like the last full eclipse was in 79 or something like that. I can't remember the exact date, but I remember being in primary school and them taking us out to the field and we witnessed an eclipse. Did you experience that too?
I said that
and they give you a little
pull it down.
I know.
Thank you, Jesus. I'm not going crazy.
Yeah. Well, now you said in primary school.
Well, I'm a couple of years older than you, but I was in Our Ladies, and they took us to the field, and everything went black. So I don't understand that. Maybe they mean in the U.S.
They probably told you close your eyes.
No, I remember being in the schoolyard, but I was in high school.
Is her mic on?
Yeah.
No,
it sounds kind of airy.
And I remember looking in a puddle at the sun, and because you couldn't
to look directly at it.
So I'm like, I don't know. I must be.
So maybe they're talking about for the U.S. or something that's the last time they. I don't know.
Maybe that's what happened in the Greek days.
No, maybe it was in a full solar eclipse. It was partial or whatever it was.
You remember Medusa?
Yes.
If you turn around and look at the Italian star. Listen, I want to move off of the eclipse. I'm finished with that.
What if we're not finished with it?
Well, if you want to continue, go ahead.
No, I'm just challenging you.
Then I'll say go ahead.
Let me talk some more about the eclipse.
Go ahead.
Okay, now I'm done with it.
Okay. Anyway, so I finished with that now. So listen, crime and crimes. First, let's deal with the thing you showed me just now with the trunk thing.
With the woman
throwing in the trunk. Mm-hmm. What's that about? What went down there?
There's a scenario about what transpired there. I don't know that for sure that is the scenario. So I can only go by what I saw.
Right. This is what concerns me. No matter what the scenario, right? A lot of people watched her put that in trunk. Yes. Is that a thing now that he's just putting it in a trunk? That's his girlfriend. Who allows people to put someone in a trunk?
I think people are afraid to get involved because they don't know who they're dealing with.
Well, the
man the man inside the video picked up a rock. Then he later threw it on the ground. So what were you going to do with that rock?
Huh?
No, it was a rock.
Rock, okay.
So what were you going to do with that rock until the guy came? It's like it's just too much.
How angry can you be about anything where you put someone in a trunk? I mean, anyway.
I'm just glad that the police were called and at least somebody other than people who at first I used to get mad saying why people recording, right? But at the end of the day,
that's the kind of thing you want.
That is the kind of thing you want because if they need to find this guy, that's helpful.
Because they had everything on him.
So somebody must have been calling the cops.
So the little jump is into this crime thing. You had some murders on the weekend. I want to make a revelation. Am I allowed to make a revelation?
And if we say no, then what? Right.
Well, I mean, I'm just asking. I would have to skip over it.
No, you're not allowed to make a revelation.
Right, okay.
That's like going.
But he's going to proceed anyway.
No, I'm not. Not until I get your permission. Not until I get permission will I make the revelation.
It's your show, so.
Well, I'm asking if. I wasn't really asking permission to make a revelation. I'm saying a revelation's things that one can do. That's what I was doing.
Whatever tickles your fancy.
So I'm going to make a revelation then. I don't know if it's a revelation. You can determine if you think it's a revelation if anyone said it. What do you call it? Breaking news? Breaking news? The police, no matter what they say, no matter how much release they have, no matter how much strategy they do, cannot be held responsible for solving murders.
Yeah, I mean, we said that. Yeah.
No, we need to get a grasp of that because for some reason or the other, we think that's in the purview of the police department. And specifically, I guess individually, the Minister of National Security, that if we change these people, and we've been saying this for a long time, that if we change these people, you know what? All points bulleted out to the murderers. Osprey is in charge now. Let's not do any more murders. Mm-hmm. It's not the case. Mm-hmm. First of all, these things are spontaneous incidences.
Like in the video
that happen, that have nothing to do with police prevention. You could have come up with a million strategy.
It still won't stop
the woman in the trunk.
Yeah.
Now, what your job is to do is once she goes in the trunk is to detect and find the woman.
Quickly. Mm-hmm.
Now, if we can understand that and spend the resources instead on where the problem lies, education, economics, family planning, these are the problems. Okay? It's not the police. How did we get onto that?
Okay, but let me ask you then. So
I just shot Candy. How did the police stop that?
No. But so let me say this. In those instances where you have hotspot areas, don't the police then play a role in preventing those murders? If you know that this area right here tends to have a certain problem, but you station police there just to make sure, check out everything and make sure that they have a presence so people at least feel reluctant about doing something. They play a role in those instances.
I don't believe so.
That's assuming that all crime's just going to happen right
there.
Yeah,
but where the police, I think if that's the premise, you know what that means? That you have to have, let's just pick a road, Water Road. Let's say Water Road is a hot spot.
Uh-huh.
Okay? Let's say Water Road is 1.5 miles long. Are you going to have a police at every house? So they could be at one end and shooting the other person. I mean, they track these guys down. They're like committed to do this to these guys. They wait until they get in their car. They go to a function or something. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying that the police presence and police strategy cannot.
I think the presence does help.
But if anything, it helps to make the neighbors feel safer. But here's the deal. Look at them. Look at what's happening. We're not idiots. Look what's happening. Look at what's happening with the murders. It's people with ankle bracelets. It's domestic issues. It's gang related, and in some instances, it's drug. These are not preventable things. How you prevent it is for that human being, those two human beings involved in that dispute, for them to be in a different mindset than they are. That they're working, they're productive citizens. I'm talking about future. How we don't prevent this from repeating itself, right? That you have to give as many people. How many people in this room are apt to resolve an issue by shooting someone?
Let me tell you.
Okay.
Maybe I
shouldn't
incriminate myself. I would love a gun.
Yeah, but you don't have one.
But if I had one, okay. I don't think that would be a good scenario, because I think all of us are prone to snapping. I don't think that
like that.
I'm educated. Oh yes, you who run behind the man with your gun.
Yeah, but I ain't snapping.
You don't know what you can do.
I learned my lesson on that one.
You don't know what you would do in that scenario if he pulled out a gun and
first of all, it was not
you or him.
First of all, that I knew what you're going to say because we've had this argument. I'll say that before about provocation.
Yes.
Okay. Provocation to me is not like someone touched my girlfriend. Okay. If someone has invaded my home, that's a different story.
But there's a recourse for that.
I agree, but guess what?
And you chose a different route.
But at least that, and I'm not justifying it. At least that is in a jury's perspective, because I've been on a jury, is justifiable.
What if, for example, then some guy grabs you're with your daughter, and some guy grabs a part of her anatomy in the front of you?
I'm not going to shoot him.
You don't know what you would do if you have a gun on you.
Yeah. I don't carry a gun on me like that.
Okay, but what I'm saying is, we're not talking about sitting here in a studio unprovoked with no weapon. We're talking about being in the thick of things. We don't know how we would react in that moment. I don't care how educated you are.
I understand that, and I accept that. But guess what? These things are in the thick of things. These people go home. It's the guys out on bail. They're planning to kill him. It's a plan. Okay, these aren't, I just see him. This is a plan. This is, and someone described it to me today. I was sitting in a car, And they said, you know, these people, when they do these things, and they were talking about the United States, this is as a result of a long history of stuff, right? Where a guy who is, he was working with a guy and people in Baltimore where the kids would go home, and on the way home, these kids would get raped. Boys would get raped. So what happens is that boy becomes a warrior. It's a survival thing for him. It's not just, oh, let me find another route. It's a day-to-day survival, you know? But anyway, he played the thing.
I know. Do we have to take a break?
I'm going to take a break.
Don't say anything.
It's Candelaria Thompson, and she's here this afternoon with Erica Wells-Cox, our guest co-host. By the way, our guest this afternoon is Minister of Environment and Housing, Romauld Ferriera. And I want to also thank Ken for being on that board over there, keeping things in control. Candy, you were expressing your anxiety with regard to
school.
going to school. It is okay because you got to go through it until they're out of the house.
You know, I'm just waiting for the first day. Like, you know.
Yeah.
Just get over that first day.
And then you'll be cool?
And you know, I'll be back into the swing of things. You know, you miss summer a little bit, that's all.
I think summer's break is too long, personally.
Too long in terms
of
the children being
being very serious about this.
In terms of the children being
I think they're out. I think routine and a set schedule is very important for kids. I think,
especially when after a long period of time they don't want to go back.
Right. I mean, it's if to have an 8-week, or some schools have 10 weeks off. It's difficult.
Yeah, I try to create a little routine at home.
The only real benefit that going out of school in the summer does is, well, there's a couple of benefits. One is lack of air conditioning. 2 is the teacher. The teacher needs a break from those children.
No break.
And also,
most schools don't have AC.
But most schools don't have AC. That's what I'm saying. Lack of. It's too hot to have your child in class without AC.
Well, they at home with no AC.
Well, at least at least they can get a fan, or they
got
no fan.
Get a cool drink.
They could go under a tree for crying out loud.
It wasn't blasting my air condition all day for them to be. Laid up.
No, but the point I'm making, you can't be sitting in a classroom in the heat. That's the main thing.
And be expected to learn and concentrate. Right. I get you.
So the point and then you have, so the teachers need a break as well.
Yes, I'm not saying no break.
But I agree with you on routine, because it's better for them to just, and also it's stress on parents. Yeah. It's more stress, to be honest, I think, on parents for the summer than even school.
Right, because you have to do the camps and the.
Was it like, for me? I felt like the camps, man, the prices, the cost of these camps are outrageous. And if you have more than one child, what are you going to do?
Yeah,
they're usurious.
I mean, they know they've got you in a corner.
Yeah, you want to go to work and have some place to keep your child? Okay, for $5,000 you can bring the child to school for
a week.
To summer camp for a half an hour.
You could go to this camp this week, and then you can go the next week. Yeah. How about that?
It's big business. People send their children away.
I wish I had that option.
Because you can say it loud.
Starting next year.
Yeah.
My son will be 11.
Did you know about my daughter went to an arts and music camp?
They're wonderful things.
Yeah.
You mean camp away from, not with just
like abroad,
like where you
flying,
where you sleep at the sleepaway camp. Yeah.
It's a pity that the schools here don't do that. You can use the classrooms for dorms. St. Augustine's used to do it when I was a kid. I went to Camp Arawak.
Isn't there a camp that does that goes to Eleuthera?
Yeah, but I have a feeling that's not fun. Okay, so I'm saying that.
That is not nice.
They ain't got no pool.
They have pretty beaches.
I don't want them in the beach. Okay, there's shark in the beach in Eleuthera.
Oh, goodness.
But no, I mean, I don't see why the camps, they don't do it here. They could have
my
dorms
time running
and
out.
stuff.
You soon run me.
Tell him.
Sorry.
Hey, I got to get the mic back.
Yeah.
Okay, so right to it. Dive right in. Topic for today. Should we buy into the notion that we are married to the wrong person? So let me hold on. Let me explain that. Yes, because in most relationships, you wake up one day after several years of being married and you'd be like, holy crap, Did I make a mistake? Or what?
How about the notion? Can I rephrase that?
So
do we? Right? No, I think it's natural for people to think like.
Are you saying I really don't think that? Like, should we accept that thought?
Accept the thought that.
I think that is a very valid thought. I mean, it's a crapshoot for crying out loud.
What's that?
No, let's face it. No, you're getting married to a person and saying, okay, I'm getting married to this person for the rest of my life. The odds are very stacked that it could be not the right person.
In what way, though? Like, because I'm
going
to get into that.
I can't stand you living guts way.
Well.
I'm not saying.
I can't stand the sight of you.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, there's a lot of ways. Oh, I discovered you're a serial killer way. I mean,
yeah, but obviously that you got married and say this is 5. I know, but no, say this is 5 years into the marriage. Oh, obviously you were attracted to the person. You got you to the point where you really wanted to spend your time with this person. So this isn't some, random person that you just decide to.
No, it's not random.
So I'm saying, right. So what caused you to wake up? No, listen. What caused you that day to wake up and say, I really don't like this person?
Well, I don't know if you wake up that day.
No, I'm just.
Yeah. I think it's an evolution of
right.
disgust.
So, over the course of years, something is breaking down or something happens, right?
Or you change as a person. The person you were at 26 or 30, you might be a completely different person at 45.
Or they could be. But I think it's a different thing, Candy, if I might add a little thing. A little reassignment or rephrasing of the topic.
Let's hear it.
Your topic was you wake up and find you're married to the wrong person. Could it be that you woke up and you go, why am I married? You're assuming the natural state is marriage. So if you assume the natural state is marriage, then the reason why this is a problem because it has to be one of us. No, maybe it's being married.
Right,
is
you have
the problem.
People who
the global married. That marriage is an institution.
Yes,
that's what
I understand that.
Yes,
but people, you do have some people who genuinely want to spend. Let's not call it marriage, okay? Let's say,
relationship.
You have people who genuinely want to live together and spend and be committed to a person for a long period of time.
With all the rules associated, I get you.
What's that?
All the list of rules, I got it.
So if we
not necessarily.
So if we don't accept the notion that we're married to the wrong person, what's the alternative?
Well, okay.
Yes.
Look at you.
Yes, let's go to that.
Well, I think. Well, I believe, right? Uh-huh. You have a vision and an idea of what you want in a relationship, and so does your partner, right? And I think the identity of that relationship should always be negotiated between the two people. I believe people go into a relationship in their minds already thinking what they want the relationship to be without ever discussing what it is they truly desire and their deepest and
Let me ask you a question. I'm going to interrupt you. I'm going to interrupt you for a second.
That's fine because
this is so much. It's off the top. No, I'm interrupting you.
What is off the top?
Do we discuss how we want to breathe? Do we discuss that?
Ed, you've come with these off the wall.
No, it's not off the wall.
Yes, it is.
No. Tell me why it's off the wall. What I said.
Because breathing?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Breathing is natural, so you don't discuss it.
No, that is completely different.
No, let me explain what I'm trying to say to you.
Breathing is involuntary, so you don't consciously.
The point I'm making to you is this: we have made the assumption. This is very clear to me. We have made the assumption that marriage is a natural state. That's what we made an assumption globally, that being married is a natural state, and therefore, when it isn't working out, we're trying to figure it out.
Ed. Okay.
Yes. Go ahead now.
Understood. We've already beaten that notion with a stick. Yes, that it's not natural.
Okay.
That marriage is not natural.
So now we're forcing it?
So then basically, then there's no need for me to come back on the show.
No.
I'm saying why I'm saying that is because we are in relationships. We are getting married, and that is what.
Let Candy finish her point.
That is what it is. I mean, you cannot always, whenever I come on the show, you cannot always come back and say, okay, well, marriage on the whole is unnatural, so we shouldn't even be talking about this, and it's too over the top.
No. Because, listen, let me tell you why that's what you just said is incorrect. We just finished talking off the air about the direction of education. Okay? Okay, no. And your premise on how education should be meted out, okay, is completely different from how a lot of people feel it should be. It doesn't mean we shouldn't be educated. It's how, right? We should be educated. So it's not a matter of about a relationship that because I feel that marriage is not a natural state, that we shouldn't be talking about relationships. What we're trying to say is that relationships are bound by marriage. I'm trying to say, should we not also be discussing the possibility of relationships without this unnatural boundary of marriage, just like how you feel about the boundaries of how we've formed our educational system?
Okay, fair enough. But we're not talking about... So maybe you hung up on the whole word of the marriage word. Well, I'm just talking about relationships.
Okay. Well, let's move. Let's see. But you said that. You said married to the wrong person in the wrong relationship. Then.
Right. Or if you wake up with if you
being
accept the notion
with the wrong person.
You're partnered with the wrong person.
Because words are important.
Very important.
But I never said that we should do away with the educational system.
Period. I agree. And I never said we should do away with relationships.
The system and be open-minded and there are different ways and processes of education.
Right.
And that's basically the same thing that's being discussed in the relationship world.
Right.
That's it.
All. See how
Man, you take me so far off my topic.
That's so far off.
If we don't accept the notion that we have partnered with the wrong person, how do we turn that around?
Correct.
Well, communication, of course.
Right. You were talking about discussing your expectations.
Yes, I mean, both persons involved should negotiate or discuss what it is that and how they envision their relationship to be, because it could be two completely different things. You might be looking for a fairy tale relationship, whereas the other person is looking for, listen, we're going to be very practical, and this is what it is, so forth.
Right. But I think the problem with that, and I kind of take Ed's point in this, is that usually when you're in a relationship and you're that age where you're getting married, you're not even consciously thinking of, okay, well, what is it that I want? You don't even know yourself at that point, right? But, so it's hard to...
Yes, but it's not static, right?
No.
So relationships, but you only can speak to how you feel at that present time and where you are. And this almost connects with the topic that we had the other day, meeting the person where they're at that time. And you evolve. Relationships evolve. You might have to renegotiate.
But can I add this in, because this is why I have to keep on harping on this one word, marriage. Because
I didn't say marriage.
I didn't say you said it. I'm just saying I'm harping on that because unfortunately the capacity to evolve is bounded by a contract. So here it is.
What is the contract then?
Well, the contract of if you if you split up, I'm going to give you half my money. That contract. So the reality is, I'm saying to you that when people are negotiating or trying to negotiate, it isn't a simple thing like if you're boyfriend, girlfriend, and you say don't have kids, and you say, away. listen, I don't think this is going to work out between us. Can we just, it isn't that simple when it's bound by something else. So it makes it, there's an extraneous force dictating how you communicate.
There's a piece of paper that dictates how that separation is going to work out.
Well, yes. But you can also.
But even they have common law marriage. So even if you make a conscious decision, okay, I love you, I want to be with you for a long time, I'm committed to you, we're in an exclusive relationship. But after you've lived with that person for 5 years, I don't know what it is here. All of the laws that apply to a married couple now apply to you. See,
they've made it that. Anyway, it's called property. That's what it's about.
Anyway, that was, I mean, I would have to talk about, no, I don't know. I want to talk about this next week because it's
you can come on Thursday and talk about it.
It's too little time to, get out exactly what it was that I wanted to get out. Because really, where I would take, well, yes, I can.
Okay.
But really, where I wanted to take this was people. When do we also start taking responsibility for our part? We put all these expectations of where or what our relationship is supposed to be, and we don't discuss it with our partner. We just got it all jammed up in our head, and we don't give them that type of intel into us, and we just say, okay, they should be attentive enough, they should just kind of know, and then, years of not knowing, you wake up and you be like, boy, I don't think this is the person for me. And you see why, because there are no discussions.
Right. But even then, even if there's a discussion, there's no guarantee, but it's still good to have the discussion.
Right.
Yeah. Because you're guaranteed not to go anywhere if you don't have the discussion. All right. Listen, Candy, we'll see you on Thursday. And we will continue this.
We'll see. I have to check my schedule.
Check your schedule. And we'll say, hopefully you can come on Thursday. I hope you do. Okay, and we'll do a whole half hour of it.
No, okay.
Yes, we will.
All right.
So we'll be right back. We'll be back. Our guest is Minister Romauld Ferriera, Minister of Environment and Housing, and we'll be talking about some real stuff about environment and housing. We'll be right back. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Our guest this afternoon is Mr. Romauld Ferriera, who is the Minister of Minister of Environment and Housing. And it's a big topic. We got about 40 minutes left, so we got a lot to cover, and there is a lot to cover. So first of all, welcome.
Thank you.
It's you've been a minister now for 100 and something days.
Yeah, around there.
It's a kind of an interesting transition, right? Because you go from whatever the heck it is you're doing, and then all of a sudden, you're doing this. I mean, how have you? I suppose I'll use the word acclimated.
I guess as can be reasonably expected, given the time.
Because also you're doing that whole campaign thing. It's a whole different world, right?
Sure, there's a lot of moving parts initially. I think what I did was assess the situation. Mm-hmm. And like I said, there's a lot of moving parts, and there's not just a lot of moving parts. They're all spinning in different directions and at different speeds and at different levels, and they're moving. So once you get an assessment of all the parts, players.
Sounds like an amusement park.
Are you just about done with the assessment
yes.
part? Yeah.
Yes, I have I think the thing is it's interesting that. Well, first of all, my name is Romauld Soterio Emmanuel Antonio Ferriera.
All
right. Son of Joseph, son of all right. I'm actually the 5th generation Ferriera in the New World.
Yeah.
But that's an aside. I am an ecologist and attorney. I've devoted my whole life to these issues, and so. But transitioning from, as Ed said, I came from private practice. We ran a campaign. We won the campaign. Fortunately, and I'm very grateful, and I feel honored and privileged to have this opportunity to serve as Minister of Environment and Housing. And so then you walk into a ministry, which is a very large ministry with a very dynamic portfolio. And the first thing that I wanted to do was understand what it was. So Jackson Burnside used to have a saying, you better see what you're looking at. And which is what we adopted in the One Family Shack. I'm a big One Family man. Mm-hmm. The Wall. Mm-hmm. All my One Family fans are there. But you have to see what you're looking at. And by that, before you actually move, you need just an understanding of, as I sort of hinted at.
Yeah, but if I remember correctly, when we first spoke, you said you didn't even want to come on the show until you got a full understanding of what was going on.
So what do you see?
Well, I mean, here we are. Well, firstly, environmental rights are a subset of human rights. So when we're talking about the environment and we're talking about safeguarding the environment, we have to look at it, first of all, as my colleague Marvin Dames like to say, in a holistic manner. But we have to look at it from where we are now and where we want to get to. And then it's the same thing with housing. Affordable housing, these are basic human rights. The average person, the average parent in this town is a single mother if you take the average income at $20,000, $22,000, you have a good idea what they're faced with. So we're challenged with providing affordable housing for that. So how do we do that? How do we secure these basic rights to the Bahamian citizenry that they're entitled to? Mm-hmm. And so these are the challenges. When you look at the situation that we're faced with, and I'll touch on housing in the beginning, is that we have to be able to deliver houses at an effective price point where people can afford them. And so this is a very serious challenge, because we've had a number of instances with houses being constructed where the average person couldn't afford them. And even though they were called low-cost homes, in fact, they weren't.
Yeah, like over $100,000.
It's kind of misnomer.
Yeah.
And I think that given the cost of materials here, given the structure of our society, high cost of energy, labor, etc., we are challenged to introduce new technologies to bring down that price. Right. If we're going to continue...
And meet codes.
Mm-hmm. So obviously, if you bring in new technology, I don't even want to talk to you unless you've had that conversation with the Ministry of Works to say, well, for God forbid, we will never introduce anything that's going to blow away or collapse on you. I mean, that's even more fundamental. And so that's one element of it, because affordable, decent housing gives people a chance to live with a certain amount of dignity in their lives, and it gives them a chance at the Bahamian dream, which is home ownership. And then the other element of it is the environment.
But before we go there, let's talk more about the housing. Sure. So it seems an interesting and simple kind of paradigm, right? Government owns a lot of property that in a progressive, orderly manner, they should look to see how they create affordable housing. I think the word taking that low cost housing is out of it, but affordable housing.
Correct.
And the question I want to ask you is, why has this been so? Obviously, resources is number one, but I understand. I'm going to put you on the spot here.
Sure, I don't mind.
That's what we're here for.
Yeah, hey, I'm with you.
I understand that there are people in government service who may, whether it's in housing or in other service, who get houses that they put on rent, that somehow they manage to cajole the system to be able to get a house when there are people lined up to get houses who deserve housing, but there are people who like, say, me.
You buy a couple low-cost houses and you rent them.
And I put them on rent. Or, and to think about that now, I get a low down payment because these things have mortgage and get indemnity. So for maybe a couple $1,000s, I put down a down payment, I get a house. I get it financed through the mortgage corporation. How is that? First of all, is that accurate? Is that a fallacy?
Well, since I've been there, I haven't seen anything quite like that. There is a vetting system. Uh-huh. You apply through the Department of Housing and the Bahamas Mortgage Corporation.
Right.
And, nothing is impossible, but that seems very unlikely. If you know of that, I'd be very interested to know of those instances so we can try and adjust that.
That's unforgivable.
Well, it is. Yeah. It is, because if you look at the situation in New Providence, there are literally thousands of Bahamians that have applied for low cost. Right. Yes. Right. And so, which is different from the situation in Abaco, which is different from the situation in Grand Bahama. In terms of housing stock, housing inventory, there are literally thousands of people wanting a home. Right. So this desire to have a home is a deep and fundamental desire in the hearts of most Bahamians. And our job as the government is to give effect to those desires and those hopes and dreams. And so we don't want anyone abusing that situation. Right. I'm not going to stand for it. And if I know about it, I will not be very pleased with that kind of behavior. Now, the model has been that the government gets land, its own land, and then the government contracts people out to build homes, right? Have they ever entertained a model where the government has a land and say give it to a developer, one who would present a model that is acceptable to government, or is that too, does that that has happened before?
Okay.
The challenge is that under that particular scenario, the cost of the home actually went up.
Wow.
And so
the developer wants to get something out of it as well.
Well, yeah, that's true, because there's a profit margin. Yeah. But the contractor would get something if he's doing it. But
right.
I guess you'd need a developer / contractor type scenario.
Well, the way it works is generally the way it works is this: the Department of Housing owns the land. The land is developed. We get the subdivision approval, we sell the homes. The mortgages for the land tend to come from the Bahamas Mortgage Corporation,
right.
because it's typically their money that goes to develop the land. The land itself is given away for a nominal fee. It's the peppercorn type situation. It's given away for a nominal fee. So the Department of Housing doesn't really make any money out of this situation.
That's not your goal.
That's not the goal.
Point.
That's not the goal.
Does it always? I mean, forgive my ignorance, but does it always have to be houses? I mean, is there consideration to complexes of some sort, or that's not the point?
Well, as it stands now, everything is on the table because Bahamians are, they want their piece of the rock. They want their land. They want their yard to play with.
Right.
We have to accept the fact that land is a scarce resource on New Providence. What you see happening is that the reason why everything is expanding in the Southwest, because that's where the land is. And so as land becomes more and more scarce, the kinds of development options and the development pressure on that land is going to increase, and the amount of people seeking to be housed is also is also increasing exponentially. So we have to look at all the solutions.
And then the environmental factors, if you're looking at low-lying areas. I mean,
I don't know what you mean by low-lying. Most of New Providence is low-lying. So if we're going to talk about low-lying, I don't mean it in a bad way or in an overly aggressive way, but we need to really put that in context, because if you really look at it, most of our country is
but some are in
low-lying.
Some areas are more vulnerable than others.
Well, I mean, for ecological purposes, the entire Bahamas is one big coast. And so when you talk about vulnerabilities, you're playing around with semantics. I heard you talk about, I was listening, you're talking about Dallas and the flooding there. Under those
Houston.
kinds of, Houston. Under those kinds of scenario, the whole of New Providence would be
underwater.
Would be. Yeah. So it's a dynamic.
You just have to build to facilitate for that.
But that takes into account the climate change argument, the climate change mitigation, the elevating your homes. Because remember that when we talk about sea level rise, it's not just, fine, it's the coast, it's also the water table.
Right.
So your water table is actually moving up higher underneath your home. So many people have postulated that the Bahamas, we may very well be climate change refugees in a couple of hundred years or less than that if we don't take dramatic changes as a group. But definitely the environmental considerations have to be taken into account because there's the developmental pressure on an island that's 21/7. The land resources are finite, as some of my constituents always remind me. God isn't in the business of making land, and in this particular instance, how we made it is through sea level rise, precipitation of oolite, and wind-blown sand dunes. That process is pretty much grinding to a halt now, and we're stuck with what we have. So we have to make the best use of it.
Well, since we spoke in environmental terms, let's shift to the environment. And of course,
I don't mind going back to housing.
You can go back to housing, but it's pretty. That's one of those subjects which is very kind of, it has its parameters and obviously its challenges. But the big issue in our context these days is environment, and of course, like crime, we always tend to categorize it in one way. Like crime is murder in the Bahamas. That's how we consider crime murder.
Sure.
We count murders down, and that's crime. But in the Bahamas, we tend to now look at environment in a very kind of monolithic way, and that's a landfill. So I bring that up. That's what we look at, because most people, okay. Now I look at it in a whole range of stuff, but the landfill. So I'll bring that up first, because there's other things we'll talk about.
Sure.
We have I was just at a IDB thing about the landfill and how to deal with this, etc. It's very complicated. But the reality is we have refuse that we need to dispose of.
Correct.
We are not reusing a lot of stuff. We are throwaway environment. We throw refrigerators and mattresses, etc. And we need to have a place or a way to dispose of this. Where have we gotten after umpteen studies and umpteen issues? Where have we gotten to solve the problem? It's solved in other environments.
Sure.
We should be able to solve it in.
So we're getting ready to do umpteen in one. Yeah. No, I say that tongue in cheek. Yeah. Obviously, remember we had a fire at the landfill. Well, I'm sure you all remember. No. When I say I'm not picking on it.
Yeah.
But we had a fire at the landfill. That situation is untenable. We cannot allow that to happen again. An RFP went out, a request for proposal to manage the landfill weeks before the last general election. The period to do the assessment was about 8 days for people to come in. When this government came in, we decided that we would shelve that and we'll issue another RFP. Now, when we look at the landfill, let's take a look at the landfill. There are two different kinds of proposals that you can have to manage the landfill. One is a waste energy proposal, which is very sexy right now. We know that there's bio waste in the landfill. It breaks down, it produces methane gas. That methane gas, which is a greenhouse gas, you can use to burn and make gas turbines, or the waste itself can be through a process where the solid goes sublimation, solid to gas, and then you can drive turbines. That's one element of it. And then you take that and you sell it to the power company. So your business plan now is predicated on BPL or BEC. I'm going to call it BEC because I'm that age,
just
right?
Go with B.
It's predicated on them buying it from you. Now, they really have no incentive to buy it because they're producing a product right now that's overpriced and it's bad quality. So that's your negotiating skill to make that happen. Your power purchase agreement, BEC buys it from you at, I don't know, $15 cents a kilowatt hour, 20 cents a kilowatt hour. They put another 10 cents on it. Right now you're paying around 45 cents for it. The other scenario is the tip-in fee scenario, where you manage the landfill as a landfill. You pull out everything that can be recycled, you bag that up, you bale it, you ship it, and then you charge tip-in fees. In other words, you charge people to use the landfill.
So you can maintain it.
So you can maintain it. So one's at the North Pole, one's at the South Pole, and in between there are many variants and variables of that. And if you're a prudent businessman, you are going to want as many, or businesswoman or business person, you're going to want as many income streams as possible. I mean, it'll be unwise for you, well, in my humble opinion, it'll be unwise for you to limit yourself that way. And so what we had coming out of the last RFP, first of all, we only had 2 people respond. Two groups responded, right? One was what I described, the running it as a landfill. There was no discussion on waste to energy. And the other was a waste to energy proposal. So even the proposals to compare were incongruent. So that says a lot right then and there. And so what we're looking at is to develop the terms of reference and have people submit proposals and give them sufficient time, because we don't want to victimize anyone by giving them insufficient time to do this. They need sufficient time to understand the processes there, understand the dynamics of this, because in addition to the technical model, there's also a financial component. So the financial model has to work. And as we said before, the residents around the landfill and the schools and the people, they've endured a great deal. So there's some human rights issues there that you need to be sensitive to. And on top of all of that, the landfill is a national asset, whether we accept it as such or not. It is no different from BEC or BTC. It's really no different. So we also have to be mindful of the fact that we have one landfill in New Providence, and for the near future, that's all we're going to have, certainly in the short term. And so we have to be sensitive to the fact that we are dealing with a national asset, and we're divesting ourselves of it in perpetuity. Right. So we need to understand the nuances of that as well.
Well, listen, we got to take a break. When we come back, there's a couple of questions I want to ask you about that, and then we're going to get back to what goes into the landfill. We'll be right back. Let me tell you about the chair, man, since it's bothering you, okay? 20 years ago, when I was in this station, I bought my own chair. This has been here for 20 years. I know you're excited about that.
Very much so.
Yeah. Okay. And see, it didn't dump it. I'm using it. I didn't dump it. I didn't throw it on the side of the road.
You have to be congratulated for that. You have to be congratulated for that.
Even after I took my break a couple of years, they still kept it here. Believe it or not.
Nice of them.
So listen, we were talking about the landfill, but at the end of the day, the majority of Bahamians, unfortunately, only care about the landfill because, when it burns.
Sure.
Okay? But we have to manage that, and that's a kind of a, definitive thing that has to happen.
Yeah.
All right. What's worse, in my opinion, and what is our biggest environmental crisis, and I'm sure there are lots of environmentalists out there who will decry what I'm about to say, because obviously there are environmental events that happen, whether it's an oil spill or the case with the oil, the water,
the oil leaking
the
into
Rubis
gas,
saying, these are events and they have to be managed, they have to be dealt with, and of course there have to be regimes in place to prevent those things from happening. But the thing that I see as our biggest environmental scourge is litter.
Agreed. Well, maybe not the biggest, but I take the point.
It's
certainly important.
It's dumping. I'm not just talking about people throwing a bottle on the ground. I'm talking about you go to any community in this country, Minister, and there is just wanton. Yeah. I mean, it's just it freaks me out how people do that.
May I respond?
Yeah.
Okay. I was waiting a while. So, time in. Okay.
Yeah.
The psychologists say that the people are angry. That's why they're dumping. New Providence is filthy. Okay.
The psychologists.
New Providence is in a bad way, and it did not get to this state overnight. And it's going to take the collective effort of all right-thinking Bahamians to do something about it.
Because I'm angry about them doing it.
Oh, no, it's a very serious and vexing problem. It's going to take the collective effort of all of us. So a part of why I agreed to come on the show is to let the Bahamas know that we need to clean this place up. And the Ministry of Environment is actually here to help that. We're actually here to serve you, the Bahamian public. We're here to serve you. The things that we can do together. We have to clean this place up together. I think once in every generation, there's an issue that falls on all of us to do collectively. And certainly from an environmental point of view, this is one of them. This is one of them. Now, people talk about cleaning up the environment as being low-hanging fruit. They are completely wrong. Launching a cleanup campaign is actually very complicated, and the first step is to get the buy-in of the community. So I'm here to say that at this stage, we're not accusing anyone of anything. If you are a community organization, a church, a school, a neighborhood association, or just an army of one, or an army of your family, and you are sick and tired of the state of affairs of New Providence, we're talking to you. And we're saying, look, the Ministry of Environment, we want to help you to clean this place up. We are proposing that ahead of Heroes Day, we're saying that we have Heroes Day coming up, where we reflect on the national heroes of this country, our forebears who have sacrificed much for us, that we do them honor by ahead of that cleaning the place up. And we want to start. We want to start now. We have a telephone number, 322-6006. You can call it if you need help organizing a dumpster. We will come there. We will assist. But what we want the community to do in the first instance is we want to work with those entities that want to organize themselves and want to clean up themselves, because we would get better buy-in and more lasting results if the community gets behind it. Now, that's not to say that we're not concerned with enforcement, because we are. That's not to say that we're not concerned about derelict vehicles, because we are, and we are moving to address those things. All of this is a part of the same plan. But once we begin to clean up, we will look at the derelict vehicles and remove them. We will look at, obviously they're closely connected with crime and rats. I'm here to tell you that if there was any kind of public health issue that involved rats, like the bubonic plague back in the day, if there's a modern equivalent of that, we're all in trouble, because we have a serious rodent population that needs to be addressed. And it brings to mind a lot of issues, because I was talking with someone the other day, and let's take the Clifton Pier example at the water at Clifton Pier Power Station, which we know is contaminated, which is another vexing environmental problem. But let me just show you how the state of affairs that we're walking to, and I'm going to use that as an example. Right? The power station is operated by BPL. The oil comes there. It leaks into the ground. Once it hits the water table, that water is actually owned by the Water and Sewage Corporation. It migrates through the rock, hits the ocean. The cleanup at the ocean level is actually the Ministry of Transport. If it hits the seabed, then you're dealing with submerged lands. That's the Office of the Prime Minister. You And if there were any kind of excavation involved to get it, you need an excavation permit. That's the Ministry of Works. That's the Conservation and Protection of the Physical Landscapes of the Bahamas Act. And if you were to build something to help remediate it or recover it or whatever you want to do, or a little shed, then that's the Building Controls Officer. The plan, and nowhere in that scenario is a permit issued from the Ministry of Environment. And so we are in a situation where we need to bring forward into the 21st century the regulations as it speaks to the day-to-day operating procedures to guide these things from the Ministry of Environment.
Right.
And
because
fine, we have that background, but we still need to clean up.
Yeah, because obviously we had all of these rules and regulations, and no one considered these things, and so now, but and I feel your pain, and there aren't as low-hanging as people. But let me give you an example. So I've decided, I'm going to say this, I don't like saying this stuff, but also I've decided that in my neighborhood, from the roundabout at Sandals to where I live, I've adopted. Okay?
Right.
So every Saturday I pay someone to clean it up. Within hours after passing there, I will find stuff thrown on the ground. I'm working with Pericles Millis, as you may be aware, Minister. We're going to present to you some amended legislation. We have to change the mindset.
Sure.
Because, see, there's this mindset that the Ministry of Environment is responsible for cleaning it up, but who's responsible for throwing it down?
I'm actually...
You know what I'm saying?
I'm actually disagreeing with you. There's a mindset among Bahamian people that people should come behind them and clean up after them.
Well, that's but yeah.
Period.
But I'm not. That's not. But in their mind, it's quote unquote the government.
The government them.
Okay. So they expect to see government people on the roads and parks cleaning up after them.
You're talking about a mindset change.
Right. And that mindset's a change to you don't throw it down.
Right. So
period.
How does the Ministry of Environment then move towards helping to change that mindset? Not that it is the Ministry of Environment's responsibility to change it, but in terms of you were just talking about this public campaign.
Well, we want to be the drivers of it. I mean, we understand the expectations, right or wrong. We understand them, and we want to get out in front of it. That's why I'm here. Right. I mean, we're here to serve, and we're in the Ministry of Environment. I understand those expectations. We want to have the public awareness campaign machinery going as well, along with the enforcement. Unfortunately, some people only respond to pain. But we're hoping that we can encourage and move you along with the public awareness and make you aware of your actions. So that's going to roll out too. I'm sure someone from my ministry will contact you about public service announcements, which I'm sure you'll be more than happy. Yeah. But we want to engage everyone, the Bahamian citizenry, the businesses, to join in, to get as much buy-in as possible. And we understand that the state of affairs in New Providence did not happen overnight, and we appreciate that we won't clean it up overnight. But if we join together, the thing about environment, about the state of our environment and cleanliness and the air and the water, is that it doesn't matter what color you are, whether you're a woman or a man, or if you're PLP, FNM, or DNA, none of that matters. We all share the same air. We all share the same water. We all have to drive along the same roads that Ed is talking about. We take our refuge to the same landfill. There's some things that bind us, and the environment is one of them. And so in order to clean it up, in order to make that lasting change that we want, we need to buy in together. I mean, we need to move. We all need to hold hands, lock arms, and take one step forward together.
But Minister, now that you've given I'm going to be the bad guy. I'm going to let you be the nice guy. I'm going to be the bad guy. Okay? I was with a group of people the other day, and they were talking about appealing to the hearts and minds of people. And, yeah, I get it. You can appeal to the hearts and mind of Erica and to Kendrick and to me and to others and many others. But there's some people who I said to her, they don't possess a heart. So you cannot appeal to their hearts. You have to appeal to their desire not to feel sanction. Okay? And the reality is that we have been we have not enforced things. And over time, hopefully, maybe listen, how did I become a non-litera? The nun at Xavier's College didn't appeal to my heart. She appealed to me picking up garbage and sitting online and being punished, to the point where I realized this is not for me. This is not something I should be engaged in. So I assume that the ministry will go down that road of setting up courts, et cetera, to deal with the people who just aren't getting it.
I agree. I agree with you. There are some people that, I mean, it's the unique dynamic of human beings.
Mm-hmm.
There's some people you say it to them, and unless you pinch them, they're not concerned.
Mm-hmm.
But those people who really love this country, because you're not really doing this for me or any of us in this room.
Mm-hmm.
You're doing it for our country.
Exactly.
This is our country. And we have to show the world that we love our country. And there's no better expression.
And how you treat it.
Exactly. And so if you persist to that behavior, then we're going to deal with you. But in the first instance, we're asking you to join with us. We're willing to work with you. We're here to serve you. The ministry is here to serve you, to help you. If you are living in a neighborhood and you want to clean it up, and it's bothering you, and it's not going to bother everyone, but it's bothering you. We're not talking about everyone. We're talking about you. You're uncomfortable with it. Then we're here to help. If people are littering, you let us know. We will enforce the laws in terms of that. But at the same time, we want to reach out to the schools as well, because you said something very important in recanting your journey, in that you were in primary school, and through, I guess, a disciplinary act, you were taught the value of a clean environment. But we want to introduce that sort of thing with the primary school again, because you will find that it's the children that, a lot of people are stuck in a mindset. It's the young energy that's going to change it.
Well, I actually believe that as opposed to discipline, if we start to introduce into schools and say, look, we're gonna reward, even if it's a trophy, schools that have the best environment around within, say, 100-foot radius of their schools, so that they take pride in being the best school in terms of cleanliness. Maybe that's a positive. That's a positive. Maybe it's up to the teachers to deal with the disciplining of people who are littering, because the majority of kids are going to go they're going to have the hearts, right, and they're going to learn. But
or they learn from adults.
Adults. Right. But I think, Minister, it has to be simultaneous, because we could go and clean up tomorrow, and that same citizen who is desirous of cleaning up goes and does it and does what they need to do, and then someone who is not a good citizen comes and deals the death knell of.
It's madness, because you can have a garbage bin that's not full, and you can have garbage all around it except in it.
Yeah.
And the garbage bin is not full.
Yeah.
I can't account for that. I know that we need to have ourselves in a situation where we can punish people that do that. We need to do everything that we can to make sure that we teach people and guide our brothers and sisters not to do that. But there's some things that we can do. Right. And one of the things that we can do is we can encourage all the groups out there, because there are many people out there that want and are willing to participate in such activities. We invite you to partner with us. That's why I'm here to give this number, 322-6006. We invite you to partner with us, because we can assist in cleaning up neighborhoods. We have the spreadsheets all set up so we can keep track of what we clean up, the amounts we remove. We're looking to build synergies, build relationships with the private sector, with citizens, with association group. I can't stress enough that the Ministry of Environment is really here to serve. Ministry means serve. We're here to serve you.
How do citizens who want to also, I dealing strictly on the rough side now. Listen, Minister, I've been on the radio for 20-something years preaching the same thing. Hearts and minds stuff. It ain't working.
Yeah.
Now, so I'm not, this ain't some person who just today dealing with this. 20-something years. Now, how do citizens, and what mechanisms can you set up where citizens who are concerned citizens can report litterers and people who are dumping, etc.? What kind of mechanism are you looking at there?
Well, if you report it, then you need to make sure you do it. Let me help you with that. You observe somebody littering. The first dumping. If you're reporting and you're saying, look, I just saw someone throw some garbage in the back of someone's yard. Okay, that's very anecdotal. That's not going to get you far. What you need is supporting documentation. Photographs would be great. information like the name of the person
License plate.
best you can, the license plate number, and we will turn that over to the Royal Bahamas Police Force for investigation, and we will prosecute them. But what tends to happen is that we have become a society that, with some exceptions, not everyone is in this way, that we're minding our own business. We're minding our own business on these kinds of issues. But if you see something like that, you have people dumping on people's private property on a large scale so you'll have someone being paid to take waste to the landfill instead of taking it there. They dump it on the side of the road. And someone's good. They don't want
laziness.
We want to deal with that.
Right.
You provide us documentary evidence of individuals like that. We will deal with that. I've already spoken with the Minister of National Security. This is a priority for him as well. I've spoken with the Minister of Education. Having this in the schools, the importance of cleanliness is a priority for him. We are here to do, I hate to use the cliche, but I'm going to stay away from that and say that we're here to serve.
Yeah.
Ministry means serve. We actually, and it's an honor and a privilege to be given this opportunity to serve. And so at one end, the Bahamian public, from me as Minister of Environment and Housing, they expect houses, right? They expect the derelict vehicles to be removed,
a clean environment,
the garbage to be collected, and the rodent population to be dealt with. I mean, those are the expectations.
And the landfill to be managed.
Well,
yeah,
all of that is a part of it, because as we move to clean up New Providence, we want this to go to the landfill. Right. And that's why everything is happening at the same time.
And by the way, there's huge industry. One of the things that I find interesting is that there's huge industry to be made out of having an environmentally sound environment. Where people are turning rubber tires into road fill, for road aggregate, and there's a whole lot of things that can be exploited that can create jobs. Sure. But I'm just going to say this to you, Mr. Minister, and I hope that you come back on the show after you've made your rounds to the other shows. I thank you for coming on the show first after you've assessed everything. Is that Mr. Pericles Melis and I are putting together some draconian rules.
Yes.
And I don't think that there's any Bahamian who is going to be averse to these rules simply because it is nothing you have to do. If you have a truck and Kendrick paid you to take the thing to the dump, no one has forced you to dump it in Erica's yard. No one's forced you to do that. So if I happen to be a neighbor and catch you dumping that in that yard, that person's truck should be impounded for a period of time. They need to feel the pain to make sure that they know this is not the thing to do. I'm now going to have to pay money to have it removed. I've been put at a financial disadvantage. Sure. So you should be the one who's put it. We coming up with some rules, man.
There's nothing wrong with that. I'm sure the Attorney General will be quite pleased. I am willing to champion any environmental cause. Because remember now, even you're dealing with some of the core tenets of what I believe as an individual. I think that we have to do this for ourselves. We can't let, this whole thing of let's do it for the tourists. No. I'm here appealing to the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. Exactly. We need to do this for ourselves. We talk about the duty-free zones over the hill. Yeah. Great economic incentive, but you can't appreciate it if the environment isn't clean. No. This is the basics. I mean, it goes right back to Genesis. I heard you quoting the Ten Commandments, but it goes right back. I mean, we are stewards of this earth.
And if you want
stewards of it.
And you were talking about people being angry. If you want to reduce the anger of people,
sure,
clean up their environment.
Sure.
Then you see all of a sudden the mindset changes.
But I think we have to meet people where they are and take them where we want them to be. And at the same instance, we have to engage the persons that are like-minded. All right. We have to, and it's begun.
Yeah. Well, listen, I want to thank you. National Heroes Day. We're gearing up to that day. Yeah. But we can start now.
We can start now, and we have a big earmark day, the 7th of October. Okay. But you can call us now, 322-6006. Well, tomorrow at 9 o'clock. Yeah. But we will help. We will organize. We will give you the equipment you need, the dumpsters. We'll send the people there to help you organize the community. We'll give you the bags. We'll give you the impetus.
You just got to get involved.
We'll give you the energy.
All right. Well, listen, we'll keep pushing that. Just send us the information. We'll push it.
Thank you.
Minister, thank you very much. Minister, what's some other names again?
Well, I'm Romauld Soterio Emmanuel Antonio Ferriera,
Yeah,
son
it's a
of
lot of O's.
Well, son of Joseph Romauld,
Okay.
son of Emmanuel Antonio, son of Antonio Soterio, son of Soterio Antonio.
I think you're the only one who knows how to do that. All right, listen, thank you very much for coming by, and we'll see you another time. I'm sure we'll run into each other again.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Erica. Thank you, Ken. We'll see you next on Thursday. Candy will be back.